Let me get a level from you, Danny.
1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 2, 2.
You can hear me all right?
Yeah, perfect.
If I play this, do you hear it?
Hello, I'm Katie Lonke.
Yep.
You heard that?
Yep.
Oh.
Hello, I'm Katie Long.
Do you hear that?
It's very garbled, like very low in the background, garbled, kind of not really. Like I hear some kind of computery noise.
But that you don't hear.
No, it's like.
But you hear it.
Hello, I'm Katie Lonke.
But that you hear just fine.
Yep.
Society podcast.
Wow, that's weird. Okay, hold on. Daniel McMahon, you hear me?
Hey Joe, how's it going?
Good. How was that? How was that? Was that any better? Was that a little bit?
It was a little better. I mean, I can tell the
You can hear the theme song and stuff.
I can hear the theme song playing, but it sounds like it's like you're holding it underwater.
Really?
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. I mean, it's not. Yeah. We'll figure it out. We'll work all that stuff out. How are you, man?
I'm good, man. Good to see you. What's shaking?
Boy, it feels like so much.
Mm-hmm.
There's been bicycle racing, and the bike shop is getting up and running, and it's just a lot going on. I don't know where to start, Danny.
I know. Same here. There's a ton going on. I feel like it's like maybe the busiest time of the season. Plus, we're all excited for crawling out of winter, heading into spring. Although in Chicago, it's like a funny business, but. Yeah, it's a busy time. There's a ton going on.
Yeah, we've had starts and stops to the season. So, 2-3 shows ago, we talked about how busy it was at the shop. And then winter made a bit of a comeback here in the Midwest, and at least in the Chicagoland area. We had snow and cold, and things slowed down at the bicycle shop. And now things are picking up at the bike shop. So it's just the starts and stops are a little bit annoying, but it's not bad. Yeah, I'm not complaining. It's actually nice to have a couple of slow days at the shop. We're not quite
right
100%. We never will be. It's just never. You're just never 100% ready for
the elusive 100%.
Yeah, it's just going to start. The season's going to start, and then But the closer we can get to being picked up and where we want to be, the better it'll be. So, yeah. Yeah, and then the bike racing. There's been a lot of bike racing,
like a lot of bike racing going on. It's a thick time of year right now. There's like races like Saturdays, Sundays, like Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Fridays.
Yeah, it's like it's like wait. There's a race today. Today's Friday. I'm like, and it's a big race, right? I mean, that was a really big race last Friday, and
E3. As everyone always says, it's the best race named after a highway.
Is that what it is? Is that the E3 is a highway? I was trying to figure out what that was. I didn't know if it was a nightclub or
the E3 is a highway in Belgium, so they named a semi-classic after it, which I think is just so Belgian and awesome.
I was watching some video of that race, like a vlogger, a Spanish vlogger.
Nice.
And he was documenting some of the just some of the craziness along the road, because everybody's off from work, just bands of just people partying on corners, on street corners, out in front of their house. But everybody was just, and you could tell by their, the looks of some of the people, playing trumpets, any kind of brass, anyone with a brass instrument was out on the street. and the kids seemed to be out of school or not in school that day. It was just it's just like it's a giant party in these villages. You know, I mean, they're like everybody is out.
Yeah, it's quite festive. It's pretty wild. If you're not from like a cycling mad country, which most countries aren't. So it is a little bit funny because you're like, wait a minute, what's going on? What, you know, it's not the tour. It's just like an individual race. But someone tweeted at me that on these days, like kids don't have to go to school, or they're given time off for a period of the day to go like root for the riders as they go by. Because there was this one really cute scene. I saw like my Twitter lighting up, like everyone was posting GIFs and images of it, screenshots. It was pretty cute, but it was like a long section. I want to say like a quarter of a block, half of a block of like these school kids. I mean, we're talking like 5, 6, 7, you know, little kids with their teachers and whatever. And they were like 5 deep.
Oh yeah.
And it went down, and they all had like little Belgian flags and little flags, and they were like screaming. It was really cute, and the riders just went, you know, right by, and it was like, wow, that's quintessential Belgium. It was pretty cool. I was like, yeah, we're in the good part of the season right now.
Yeah, you know, and the other thing, I don't know if people realize that, you know, it's a small country, and you got all these Belgian racers, so like inevitably. They know a lot of the people in the race. Like people along the route have family and friends and neighbors in the race, you know, and they know, they're like intimate, like very aware of everybody in that bicycle race because these are big cycling fans. So I mean, Belgium, arguably the number one cycling country. Would you say?
I would say for sure. Yeah. I think at this point, you know, I think at one point France and Italy were reign supreme, but I think Belgium is just surpassed. I mean, how do we measure that? It's tricky to say, but my gut would be in terms of just like overall fanaticism, because you know you can't spell fans, Joe. Fan comes from fanatics, so there's a lot of fanaticism there, and they take it, like, to say they take it seriously is an understatement. If you're talking bang for your buck, dollar for dollar, like per capita, I'm going to go ahead and say Belgium, number one cycling mad country in the world.
Yeah, it certainly feels that way, and I know, you know, I've met some people along the way who are. Oh, you know, I met her. Hold on a second.
Hello, I'm Katie Lonke. You're listening to the Bills Shop Society podcast.
Yeah, I've met her. I met Katie. I met Katie at the bicycle shop, and you know, she was a mom, average, what I would say, like a nice average Belgian mom, and. She was very aware of cycling, you know, not, and I wouldn't necessarily call her a cycling fan,
right?
But just, you know, I mean, it's hard not to be aware of it, especially when your roads are being closed down, and you know they're setting up tents down the street from your house. Yeah. I think
their flags, Don Boonen supporter club.
Yeah. I mean, they're all very, you know, that whole, you know, she was in the shop with her family. You know, they weren't necessarily cycling fans like me, but they were obviously aware of the sport and like who the main players were. And
I love that Belgians are just walking into your shop.
Yeah, Belgians.
Because your shop is somewhat remote in a way, like, you know.
They came from the city to ride bikes.
Actually, in that sense, it does make sense. But it still feels kind of random that there's like Belgians.
Still pretty hardcore, because I mean they had to take a Uber from downtown Chicago all the way out to the bicycle shop.
That's a long
rent
Uber.
Bikes and go riding bikes for a day. You know, I mean, that was it was a day. One of their days in Chicago, they spent riding bikes, which was kind of fitting.
Did they rent bikes and then return them and head back? Did they say they had a good time or what?
Yeah, they had a great time. It sounded like they had. Oh, you know, this would be a great opportunity.
Did you get some pictures? You should share them on social.
I have pictures with them. I get great pictures. Actually, this has worked out perfectly, because
why haven't I seen these?
I have this audio, and I met this beautiful family. They were here for a wedding, and this was almost a year ago. This was almost a year.
I was going to say, you've had that clip for a little bit.
Yeah, I've had that clip. I've been playing this clip along, and so their family, actually, they, I think they speak of the Cormont.
My name is Katie Lonke,
And you are from?
Belgium.
From Belgium. And what are you doing here?
My son will giving his wedding party Saturday in Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
and we are traveling around for a week before the party.
Mm-hmm.
And my friends, they wanted to mountain bike, and so we are here.
You're here together.
At your shop. We are here together. Yes, already a few days. We did. How do you know? We did show. We have already done several things. Yes,
some tourism. And
yes,
you've been here. So how many days have you been in Chicago?
From Saturday we started, and we go back on Monday.
On Monday.
Yes.
So you'll be here for another
few days,
almost a week. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you plan to do when you're here in Chicago? What other things do you have on your list of things that you need to see?
Tomorrow we're going to Chicago City, and there are a lot of things. But the young girls and the young man have worked it out. A great building we will do.
The Sears Tower. The big tower there.
We will doing a trip on the boat. And then a lot of things, but I don't know the.
You're just going for You're going along with the.
I'm going with them. Yeah. I'm surprised all the time.
And how many people came from Belgium? How many people are here from Belgium?
We are with 4, but there are 9 friends and a girl who's coming too at Chicago.
Okay.
Then the daughter of my sister and her husband. And yes, and also for Belgian persons. Yeah. And the rest will be American people.
Oh, yeah.
She is an American.
We have many Americans here. I don't care about the Americans, just the Belgians.
Yes, 20 Belgians.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, very nice.
Yes,
very nice.
Yes.
And I, when you arrived, I mentioned that the Tour of Flanders was Sunday. It was just Sunday in Belgium.
Yes.
You missed it. You weren't.
Yes.
You were here in Chicago.
Yes.
Does the race go close to your home? Is it?
Yes, it's not far away. Yes. It's with a lot of not mountains, but
What do they call them in Belgium?
The Koppenberg. You know?
Yeah, I know.
You heard about Koppenberg, the Patersberg. Yes. And the rest, I don't know, but it's a very beautiful region.
Yeah,
Yes.
No, it's a very popular race with all of the people who like cycling, who enjoy cycling here in the United States, who enjoy the sport of bicycle racing. Everybody knows the Tour of Flanders.
They have to come to Flanders.
Oh yeah,
to bicycle.
Everybody loves your country is where Eddie Merckx and every bicycle racer here in the States. Everybody knows Belgium, and also cyclocross is very big.
Yes.
Cyclocross is very big here in the United States amongst bicycle racers. So your country has a big influence on bicycle shops and in this country.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it is good. It is good.
And you always may come to Belgium.
I hope to make it there one day.
It's very beautiful to bicycle, also to walk. And there are very different. It's a very small country. It's a country, Belgium.
Yeah.
But you have the sea. You have the Ardennen. With trees and and then you have in the middle for bicycle.
For bicycles.
Yes, it's very good. Yes.
And now in the country, people speak 2 different languages, right?
Three. English, Dutch, and German.
And German.
Yes.
In German, and it's very split amongst the languages, correct?
Yes.
The Flamands and the Walloons.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. And then everybody speaks. I've had friends from Belgium and they I asked them, why do you speak such good English? And they told me because they receive English television from.
Oh yes, but we have French at school, English, and sometimes Dutch, but Dutch not so much.
Yeah,
it depends what you choose from languages at school.
So you choose the language that you're going to study.
Yes.
Wow.
But everybody learns French and English, and sometimes Dutch.
And everybody gets a bicycle when they're very small.
Oh yes, yes. When they're very, very, very small, they have a bicycle on two wheels on plastic.
Yeah.
For inside the house.
Yeah.
That's the beginning.
Oh, so for inside the
house. For inside the house.
So first you get your inside.
But
the house
it's not with the legs. But it's with the legs you move, but with the feet on the ground. That's the first.
So you can balance. So you learn how to balance first.
And then it's a very small bicycle with very small wheels. They
learn first.
They learn to yes.
So by the time they go outside, they ride with two wheels already.
We put their very small wheels at the outside to balance.
Yeah.
And when that's going, we take
them off.
One?
Yeah. Oh, the pole. Yeah.
And we put that.
Oh, okay. Like a handle.
Yes.
A handle for the bicycle.
Yes, but that's for a few moments, and when they are going, it's okay.
Wow. Well, that's how you make them so fast. Is you start training them when they're inside the house.
Yes, but inside the house is it's not really a bicycle. It's
it's a bicycle. Two wheels.
Two wheels, but with the feet.
With the feet,
with the feet on the ground
for balance. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Very nice. Is this your first time in America?
No. I came in for 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
I traveled around with my son. 3 weeks and a half.
Oh, throughout the United States?
4 states: California, Utah, Arizona, and Nevada.
Oh, beautiful.
And we did very beautiful parks. Yosemite is my favorite.
Yeah.
And Death Valley.
Wow.
Is perfect.
Yeah, the desert. You like the desert.
Oh, it's perfect.
Yeah.
You have to drive a lot, but you see wonderful things. And it was in April, May. So we could walk there. When you go in the summer, it's too hot.
Yeah.
And it was very good. Bryce, Zion, Canyonlands, very beautiful.
Oh yeah, Grand Canyon.
Yes,
yeah.
Canyonlands, the glows.
Oh
the arches. Grand Canyon also, and then we did an island in California.
Okay.
Very pure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, beautiful. Catalina Island, maybe, or.
I have to think. It's a long time ago. We started in San Francisco, and we came down. We did a city. It's
been a while.
Yes,
that's a beautiful drive. Did you drive along the coast?
Yes,
101. Yes. Yeah.
We did also a city where they don't the trees. They have to, they don't cut them. You know that
redwood
on the not so far away from San Francisco. You know that city?
Redwood City, maybe?
No. I don't remember the name, but it was very beautiful also.
Really?
Yes.
Well, all of California. I mean, there's many places.
And
they
can cut the pieces of the tree when their houses are in danger, but otherwise they have to go.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, even I don't know. I've never been there.
Oh, so. Yes, but I don't remember the name.
Yeah, there's many places in the United States I haven't been. It's so big. You know?
Yes.
I think sometimes I know Spain better than I know the United States.
Yes.
I've traveled around Spain a little bit, but yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yes.
That's a beautiful part of the country. the West Coast. There's so much. And
yes,
I have people that come here to the shop. I've had European cyclists that are riding, they ride Route 66.
Oh, yes,
The famous Route 66.
We did a little.
You did well, it starts here in Chicago. So where you going downtown in Chicago, it starts there and it goes all the way to California.
Yes.
I've had people that are coming from California and they finish here in Chicago.
Yes.
And a lot of Europeans, they do that, and they come here and they do the ride. They like the fact that there's so much space.
Yes,
nothing. Nothing for
But that's in whole America.
Mm-hmm.
With us, there are a lot of houses, industry. Yes, but we have a lot of beautiful places.
Mm-hmm.
But there are a lot of houses too.
Yeah.
It's different.
Well, it's compact. It's very you just have a lot of people in a small place.
Here you can drive very long way. You see nobody,
nothing,
and no houses.
Yeah.
Show in Nevada and Utah.
Oh yeah.
But with us, it's all smaller.
It's just vast here. There, every 50 kilometers, you have another town, a village.
But the villages with us are very charming.
Mm-hmm.
I find.
Yes. No. Yeah, absolutely.
They are very charming.
Yeah.
Yes.
Here
it's all roads, very big roads.
Yeah.
Even in the
rural
village.
Yeah, in the
yes,
village.
Yes.
Yeah, it's different. With
us, it's charming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
Yes.
In the East Coast is a little bit more like,
San Francisco is also charming.
Mm-hmm.
I find, Ali.
Yeah. It's very.
But Las Vegas is then, yeah,
huge. Big.
when you did the nature, I'm glad to leave Las Vegas.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
yes.
Las Vegas.
But San Francisco, it was very beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
We spent 3 days there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Los Angeles also.
We didn't.
You didn't get to Los Angeles?
No. We couldn't do everything.
Everything. Next time.
Yes, perhaps.
Well, hopefully we'll have you back here in Chicago someday, right?
Yes.
Well, thank you. Thanks for being part of I'm not going to keep you too much more, but thank you for being on the show.
Yes, thank you.
I will we'll make sure that we send you this the podcast. The link to the podcast is a souvenir of your trip to Chicago. Okay.
Thank you very much.
And your partners will be coming up soon.
Yes.
We'll see how the trip went.
when they find me.
If they find their way back, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Bye-bye.
Hello, I'm Stijn de Wandel from Belgium, and you are listening to the Bike Shop Society podcast.
That's good. Very good. Hey, so come on over to the microphone.
Thank you.
So you came here, you're here from Belgium.
Yes.
Right? And you're here for a wedding. Right?
Yeah, that's...
And for a little
correct.
tourism.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
We don't come to the United States just for one day, so it's nice to have a little trip around and to know a bit more about the country.
Yeah, and you're so Belgian. You have to ride a bicycle. You have to ride a bicycle wherever you go.
yeah. Well, yeah, I think riding with the bicycle is a very nice way to explore the nature, because you can also do hiking, but it goes kind of slow compared to biking. And if you do a mountain bike like we did, it's you are very close to the nature, so it's perfect. Yeah,
it's a very unusual experience to come to Chicago and then go mountain biking, because it's not the first thing you think about when you're coming to Chicago to go mountain biking. Yet you found a way to end up here and do a little. How did you end up finding us? How did you know that there was a place to mountain bike in Chicago?
Well, actually, we wanted to do a mountain bike tour here because the father of my friend is a really fan of mountain biking, and it's good to have some sports. So I searched on the internet best mountain bike tours in Illinois, and I think that's one of the best who came out the trail park here.
It's the only place really to mountain bike. If to mountain bike in Chicago, this is the only place. This is called the Palos Forest Preserve. It's called. Yeah. So I mean, I do get people that are coming on trips from around the world. They come to Chicago. If you're a big fan of cycling, it's the only place to mount. So if you're looking for a place to mountain bike, it's the only place in Chicago to mountain bike. Yeah. And so I've had several people from Europe come, and Japan, and different parts of the world. And it's always very exciting when somebody comes from a different part of the world and finds this little place in Chicago to experience the sport here, the way that the people from Chicago experience it.
Yeah, indeed. But okay, it's maybe the only place in Illinois where you can mountain bike, but it's still a very beautiful place, and it's wonderful that you have such a piece of nature so close to the city.
I think people in the city, people around here, we forget how lucky we are to have this little piece, of nature to enjoy. I don't think that people in this area understand how special this situation is. That's the only reason I have the bicycle shop here, was because this is behind the bicycle shop. There's no other reason to be here except for the fact that there's places to ride your bicycle that are very good. For Chicago, it's a great place to ride your mountain bike.
Indeed.
So yeah. Oh, well, I'm happy that you found us.
Yeah, I'm also happy that I found you. So.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about the Tour of Flanders. So it goes by it's close to your home?
Yeah, quite close. Yeah, we live in Flanders, so we are lucky enough to actually from my home I can see the Kwaremond.
From your home.
From your home, I can see. So in the weeks before the Tour of Flanders, you can already see the white tents for the VIPs building up. I can see it in.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, how exciting! And you weren't home for that this year. So this year you weren't. You
yes,
because it was Sunday.
I
right?
was. No. It was the week before.
It was a week ago. That's right.
Yeah, this weekend it was the Amstel Gold race.
Amstel Gold. Yeah. Roubaix on Sunday.
Yeah, Roubaix on Sunday. So on Saturday it's the wedding, and
so you're gonna stay up. You stay up all night long.
Probably.
Oh, only a Belgian would have to worry about going to a party on Saturday and then waking up to watch the bicycle race on Sunday morning.
Yeah, it would be nice if we can see still a little bit of it. So
yeah. Well, you'll catch some. You'll catch some. So, well, thank you very much. Thanks for being part of the podcast. It'll be fun, and
yeah, you're welcome.
We'll send you a link.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jasper Bonte, and you are listening to the Bike Shop Society podcast.
Perfect. Thank you. So you are also here mountain biking from Belgium.
Yeah. It was actually the first idea was for my father. We have to choose something that everybody likes. A bit of culture, a bit of sport, a bit of nature, and a bit of the city. So. Yeah, but we are also sports fans, and that's what brought us here.
Oh, beautiful. I mean, like I said, it's great to it's great for you to come and visit not only Chicago, but to see a little bit of. This is not something that everybody gets an opportunity to experience when they visit Chicago, and I'm just happy when people come and see this.
Yeah, actually, we had a lot of surprised reactions that we went inside the countryside, because apparently not a lot of tourists go there.
Yeah.
And for some people, we were the first tourists they ever saw. on some places. So yeah, this.
In this area here in the forest preserve today when you were riding,
and yesterday in Springfield in Arthur and on the Route 66. Apparently, there's not many non-Americans that go there, and but for us, it's the best way to experience the real America and not the touristic areas. That are also known from the movies, but we want to see the real stuff, the real nature.
I'm always very excited when people find us, when people find this little area here, because that means that you've gone out of the normal activities,
out of the comfort zone.
Definitely out of the comfort zone, because this isn't necessarily a very touristy area. So for you to be here means that you tried and you looked a little harder than just the average guidebook for Chicago. And so you've been here since Saturday night?
Saturday evening.
And what have you seen so far?
So first we went to Starved State Park. We took shooting lessons there.
Oh, nice.
Which is normal for Americans, but very special for Europeans.
To get to fire a gun, right? I mean, that's not a very unless you're in the military,
a very unique,
right?
Experience. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And afterwards, so we did did walk at Starved State Park, and then we did the Route 66.
Okay.
Where we got lucky enough to play at the arcade museum that they opened especially for us, because they saw us and we asked, and the guy opened it free. So it was a really nice experience.
Yeah.
And after that we continued the road, and I think in the city of Lincoln there was car races. That was also really nice, a surprise that we didn't plan, but we decided to turn off and enjoy a bit of the typical American countryside car races.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
So you've rented a car, or you rented a car here?
Yeah, we rent a car to drive around. So we are free to do that kind of stuff. We don't have a super strict schedule.
Yeah.
We have a bit of space to experience unexpected things.
Beautiful. You know, there's a bicycle trail across the street that goes from here to Starved Rock.
Oh, that's
so you can ride you can ride a bike. You know, you need like a gravel bike.
Yeah.
You know, like that style of bike, but you can ride from here. It's in kilometers, 130 kilometers from here.
My shape isn't that good, but maybe in 2 days' time.
Yeah, it's okay. Slow. Yeah. You have the Belgian legs, so I'm sure you can. I'm sure you can do it.
Yeah, we're more used to short, steep climbs. That's our thing. Or cobblestones.
You're not going to find those here. Yeah. You know, this is one of the flattest places in the world. Probably.
Yeah. I thought our country was flat, but until we came here.
No, this is flat. This is flat, and I mean, really one of the flattest parts of the world, probably.
For sure,
the Midwest the Midwest. So very good. And what do you have left to do? What's on the list for before the wedding? What do you have planned to do?
So now we're on the way to our hotel in Chicago, and from there probably we'll do like a bicycle tour in the city to explore more. Maybe a boat trip on the river, and I think also visit the skyscraper, and we had some musea in mind to visit.
Oh, beautiful!
To explore and learn a bit. Yeah.
Well, you have a few days. Before you head home, so you have plenty of time.
We have my sister and brother-in-law flying in today, so we can join up with more forces.
Oh,
and
boy!
Other Belgians that come to the wedding. So Thursday night we go to an ice hockey game, and afterwards we have like a party going on with the other Belgians.
Oh boy!
Go out in the city. Yeah. That could be really heavy.
Yeah, look out, Chicago! Look out! Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun. I'm very happy that you were able to come here and enjoy a little part of our nature. Yeah. And that I hope you have a good time
thank you.
The rest of your trip.
Thank you so much. It has been great here now, so thank you, America.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah. So funny you mentioned Stein, because do you remember Stein de Volder?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he won the Tour of Flanders, which is coming up this Sunday. Another Belgian Stein for you there, Joe.
Yeah.
He was first at Flanders in 08 and 09, back-to-back victories. Wow. That's so amazing.
That's a long time ago. Yeah. 14 years ago.
But anyway, that's cool. Yeah, Belgium's tiny. It's only 12 million. I just had to look it up. I knew it was small, but Czech Republic, where I lived, is 10. So I have somewhat of a sense, 2 million more. But it's a pretty, relatively small country. Like Germany's like 90 million. So they're pretty small in that sense. But I think you're right. A lot of people know. It's like one of those things. Like if you don't know a pro cyclist, you probably know someone who knows a pro cyclist.
Yeah.
And even like a decent like national level rider is going to be like pretty well known.
Yeah.
They always say if you win like one of the big races, you never buy a drink for the rest of your life in Belgium, which I believe.
Yeah, and having lived in like a town where there were pros living around, where you'd ride with these guys. I mean, some of them were they're local heroes, but not on the national scene. Nobody knew who they were. Like if I came to this country, I'd have to he's on Kelme, and you'd have to go refer to Velo News and look all the way down on the roster. Like, yep, that's his name. I can confirm that he is with Kelme. Yeah, but nobody really, is just kind of a anonymous professional rider.
Yeah,
but in the town and within the region, everybody knew who he was because he was the best. It's like these guys are the best. I mean, they're to become the professional. To become a professional, you're the best in the region. You're the best in your town. You're the best in your state. Like everybody knows who you are. And you during. I referred to that vlogger video that I was watching. You just heard the Belgians all. Every group was yelling out a name of some rider, somebody you'd never heard about, that they were waiting to see come around the corner, and harass, because they all had, they were all preparing some sort of ribbing for their local hero,
Right. Mm-hmm. Oh my God! But E3, getting back to E3, so the best race named after a highway was actually a really good race. It was super fun. And I'm just drawing a blank on the details because what happened since then too is Ghent again, which got more news, which we could talk about. But E3 was super fun. I had a good time. I felt like it was just really cool the way it kind of worked out.
Those were like those are three of the riders of the day. Or in the top three, right? The podium of that race was like really, you couldn't have asked for a more premier podium.
Yeah, right? Yeah. I mean, that was super fun. Wout Van Aert, drawing a blank. Wout Van Aert and Van der Poel and Pogacar were all going to the line and attacking each other. And I almost forgot in a sense because they race against each other. It's like one of those two or three is probably going to win.
Yeah.
And they come to the line. So excuse me, but Wout was able to pull out the sprint win there. But it was a great race. Big break, attacks, all the good stuff. All the fun stuff. So, but it was great to see. People who follow the sport. If we're getting into the nerdery just for a second, but people who follow the sport, like. They all know, Wout Van Aert. They know Mathieu van der Poel, all these folks, and they know Pogacar too. But I love that he's like coming and doing these like huge, hard, like northern classics and like early like hard spring. These are really hard man races as they've called them. Of course, now they have the races for the women. A lot of these races now, which they didn't back in the day. Which is great, but these are races for hard cyclists. So it's so cool to see Pogacar there. Like he went to what did he just win? Oh yeah, he won Paris-Nice. So Pogacar just crushed Paris-Nice. Now he's up doing the classics. I don't know. I think it just adds like a nice wrinkle because it's not just like these big hardy like one day guys. It's like Pogacar just shows up and he's like, yo, because he's done the classics before, but that was more like the Ardennes and
there's not many. Well, just to put it in perspective, there probably wasn't another legitimate Tour de France contender in that race that day, right? I mean, you didn't have
you're absolutely right.
You didn't have any, none of the real obvious contenders. I mean, there might have been somebody in there, but usually, usually those guys aren't racing on Fridays during the spring, not these days.
Well, you know who did great, Joe, and I think he took fourth. We talked about him on the last show.
Yep.
That Matteo Jorgensen, the American.
They called him they were 1 and 2 of the mortals.
Yes.
According to the Spanish press, because there were 2 Movistar guys, and they're like, as far as like the mortal bike racers, they're like, we got 1, 2.
Yes, right. It was so cool to see him there. Like we talked last time. The kid's he's a very tall, skinny guy, and I love, the racing now is so weird in a good way. It's like it's not like it used to be, and we could talk about Milan San Remo this way too, but the races aren't unfolding. The narrative is very different now. Like you don't have to be, because I think part of it's like the speed is very different now. The technology, it's not to explain all of it, but like the technology is really good now. The races are raced kind of differently. But you have guys who are kind of like, you have Matteo Jorgensen, which, I was so stoked with his 4th place. I mean, that's a huge result. And he won, I think, he was runner up to best young rider because Pogacar got that at Paris-Nice, but he was like crushing it at Paris-Nice. Like he's like this tall, really, really skinny guy. Just like that classic, like climber type, maybe time trialist, like a Wigo, like, Bradley, Wiggins type guy. And here he is like in like a really hard 1-day race, the mini Tour of Flanders, just like crushing it. So I don't know, very, very cool to see that. Pogacar was up there too. And it's funny you mentioned that because I tweeted this. I was watching the race on GCN, and Adam Blythe, I think, had this great stat. He said, there's only been one rider who's won both the Tour de France and E3. And, everyone's like, can you guess? And everyone's like, oh, Merckx, like, who was it? And the answer was Geraint Thomas. So I thought that was a really fun stat. So I tweeted that, and Thomas, he replied actually, and he's like, so far, kind of like a wink, because people were hoping that maybe Pogacar could pull off something, but it didn't happen. But yeah, it's funny you said that because like a lot of these GC guys, I don't think anyone else besides Jorgensen and like, Pogacar were, I don't think anyone was even close to top 10. I'd have to double check, but it's just cool with the racing now. Just the way some of these races are unfolding. You're seeing guys in the top 10, even on the podium, who traditionally, like back in the day, it was all these like hard guys, like, Sean Kelly's and Bonins and these huge like brutes, and it's a different kind of different situation now. I don't know if I can explain all the reasons why. It's something I got to kind of think about more.
Well, I mean, you have a lot more kids with a shot these days. I mean, they're coming in so prepared and so ready to race. The 20, 21-year-old kids, that it's just a fresh group of really good riders, really high level riders coming in all the time, and they're throwing them into the fire right away. There's no more. I think we talked about it before. You don't have those capos anymore. You don't have that road general anymore, where there was one guy on the team and these 3 or 4 guys that were really well respected and called all the shots in the peloton. That just doesn't fly anymore, and now you got a hotshot 21-year-old kid. He's doing well. Throw him out there. Let's see if he can win the race. Everybody gets an opportunity. Everybody gets a crack. So
yeah. Look at us talking bike racing.
No, we can do it. Every once in a while
I love it.
We can do it. Now, it's this time of the year. It's kind of hard to avoid. It's everywhere right now, and I
love it.
It is kind of an exciting time if you're into bike racing. These guys are, they're flying, man. They're flying. I mean, it's been some fun races to watch, and you're just kind of, you're amazed by what they're doing. If you want to catch some, it's in Spanish, but the Movistar's got some good stuff on YouTube you can catch, and they do some good behind the scenes stuff where they're with the team car. So I've been watching a lot of that as well.
And the new Netflix series.
Yeah,
that just came out.
Yep. So they've been kind of crushing it on
the new season for that. Yeah, they're whoever's doing like their media and PR and comms and stuff. Like, kudos to them. Like, they're making the most of it. I like how they kind of have their own flavor. It's different from like the kind of more Western Anglo kind of, the way they cover it. I feel like it's from what I remember from the Movistar Netflix series, like it feels very intimate,
Sure.
and it's a lot of like interviews, and it's really going into like all the feels and all that good stuff. It's a little bit less reliant on like the kind of like race footage. I was probably more tuned into it because I'm not a Spanish speaker, so I was using the subtitles. And a lot of the riders don't speak English apparently, or they didn't want to. So that made it kind of. I like having the variety. It's kind of good, but obviously it's a huge platform for them to be on, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, they're doing a really good job. Traditionally, I mean, I think we kind of ran into it a little bit. Where you'd see the women's team, and it was always like you could always tell their equipment wasn't as nice, or the cars weren't as nice, the clothing wasn't as nice. I mean, it was always a real noticeable step down from whatever the men's team has.
Yep.
And Movistar has made a real concerted effort to include the women at the same level as their men's team. So they have some videos of them like getting fit for clothing, and the women were there with Valverde and everybody. They were all getting fit the same day. They were all getting their stuff done the same day. And I get it. I mean, part of it is just marketing, and there's a reason why they're doing this, but they do it really well. They do it really well, and it's been interesting to. It's one of the reasons why I'm paying more attention to them right now, is just to kind of observe what they're doing, because they seem to be doing it at a pretty high level, and that's always kind of interesting to me.
Often the women's racing is more exciting, just from a race action point of view. It's almost always more exciting than the men's racing. So we'd be remiss if we didn't at least give a quick shout out to Milan San Remo, because we haven't talked about it since the last show. But I think you probably saw the headlines, the highlights and headlines. Mathieu van der Poel crushing that up the Poggio, attacking after he got a little bit of a ride, sitting on Van Aert's wheel. Great tactics. He just executed his moment perfectly. What a cool race. It wasn't like my favorite edition, in the sense that I felt like it lacked some real buildup and spice and surprise. But what Van der Poel did was amazing, and I think was momentous. Just attacking and then keeping off. Look at the guys he kept off. It was like Ghana, the world TT champ. It's like Van Aert, Pogacar. It's like Van der Poel did it like his own way, but he executed with such class, and I don't know, it was really cool. I enjoyed watching that as well. I don't know if you saw any of it, Joe.
Yeah, I did. I had it on, as I was headed out to work, and nice. Yeah, he seemed a real notch above everybody that day. I mean, he just, sometimes there's, the guys are just on that day, and everybody else, the people behind him, they all looked to be at that same level, but they didn't have the gear that he had. He was determined, and sometimes you can't get in the way of that. There are just days where you see a guy and you're like, yeah, he wasn't going to be beat by anybody that day. It's like, I don't think anybody was going to catch him that day. He planned it perfectly, and there's something to be said about just also that mentally, he just looked, a notch above everyone.
Yeah,
like he knew what he was doing.
Super focused.
It was just, you've seen it in people. There's a certain look and a feel, and you kind of, when he took off, you just kind of knew no one's going to catch him. He like broke everybody's spirit too. And that, which is a big part of cycling. Like. I think sometimes when guys are going as hard as they can and a guy rides off like that, you just know, you're just like, I'm beat. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, it's like, no way I'm catching that today.
Yeah, cue the doom and gloom music. Yeah, it was pretty wild. And as someone I was listening to said, he just seemed to be 1%, 2%, 3% above everyone that day, and that's all it took. So that was really cool. But fast forward back to Sunday, we had Ghent Belgium, and the big controversy there. So Wout Van Aert and his teammate Christophe Laporte, the two Jumbo-Visma riders, they got away at the end, and they held off for a pretty long breakaway. Actually, a 2-up breakaway. Looked like Van Aert was dropping Laporte a couple times on some of the cobble climbs. You could just see him kind of like, I think he was audibly like yelling at Van Aert, like, slow down, slow down. But in the end, they went 2 up to the line. And I know you probably have heard about the controversy, the quote unquote controversy, but Van Aert gifted the win to Laporte. And they had they sat up, they had their arms up, and he let him cross the line first. And you could see on the road, they were having this little chit chat about it too. And it was kind of determined, like, we're not going to sprint. That's going to kind of look silly. So you take it, you got it. And, I was watching it and I had this feeling, and I'm sure, a ton of people did. It wasn't just me, obviously, but I was kind of sitting there watching and I was like, this is really great. This is a great gesture. But I'm also like, the best guy didn't win. The fastest guy didn't win today, which isn't wrong. That's not wrong. But it still was. I couldn't deny it. It was like this thought I couldn't get rid of. And sure enough, it's my social streams are just like covered with all these like think pieces and opinion pieces, and basically a handful of people, but very important people: Eddie Merckx, Tom Bonin. And someone else, drawing a blank, but these 3 big guys were quoted, in Belgian press as saying like, "Oh, Van Aert shouldn't have gifted that win. He's going to regret that down the line."
Yeah, I think I saw that Cancellara thought it was a good thing. It was a good gesture.
Cancellara was he was the other voice. He was saying, look, this was a great gesture. Wout is a great rider. This is a great leader, a great champion. He has the the character to gift a win to his teammate. His teammate works his ass off for him and all these other races. And, to be frank, like, I don't, Wout won this race, last year? So it's like, it's a great race to win. Don't get me wrong. But it's a semi-classic, and Wout, he's only won 1 monument, but, it's still a relatively small race. One would like to think he's going to go on to win a lot of other races, including monuments, but you never know. So there was this kind of like discussion about it, but it felt right to me because he's had all this all this success at the Tour, wearing the yellow jersey, stage wins, sprints, all this stuff. I don't know. So it was kind of going back and forth. A lot of people were like, he shouldn't have done that. He should have. It looked like the consensus was, it was great he did it and he should have done it, or not should have, but it was great that he did it and should have no regrets. So it definitely, stuff like that reveals like an interesting side to the kind of cycling community. I definitely feel like a lot of people were saying it was great he did it, move on. It's a team sport. Like, Laporte's going to pay him back in like spades,
Yeah, there's a tradition of that in cycling. I mean,
there is.
Yeah, Le Mans and Nino, I mean, that's happened throughout the history of cycling. So, I mean, if you grew up watching the sport, as long as we've been in, that was a real common thing. The even buying, honestly, like even buying, there's a lot of horse trading that happens in those situations where like, guys are giving up. I've seen it. I've heard stories on training rides about all of that stuff. Like it's like, oh, I gave him the car. I told him he could keep the car if I could get the win. And it's like, oh, the car is worth more than the win, but I need the win for the contract. I mean, there's a lot of that happens. Yeah. During, especially like Tour de France and some of the big races. And so I was like,
especially back in the old day. I'm not saying it doesn't happen now, but I think especially back in the old days.
Back in the old day, it was huge. I mean, it was always like there were, the teams were in on it. It's like, I need that intermediate sprint. I need that. Yeah. You could take the win, but you're going to give me the money from the sprint. Or we'll split it at the end. I mean, there was always like, that was one of those things that I learned pretty early on that not to be. Not to accept what was happening on the road as like fact, because it was like later on I'd hear about all these trade. There was a lot of trades going on in the middle, because those intermediate races, the race within the race that they used to have. I guess now it's the points, like the green jersey, but they used to have all these like races within the race. There seemed to be a lot more of that back in the day, where, to kind of encourage the racing, these intermediate sprints and stuff. And it wasn't a lot of money, but, back in the day, $300 there, $400 there, $500 there, made a difference. and and those guys would all play for it. I mean, there was, those were kind of hard fought within the race. When somebody wasn't making a lot of money as a domestique, it meant something to win an extra $500 that Saturday afternoon or Sunday.
Yeah, it did.
And
or you go for the preems or something.
Yeah, so I was, it just seems like a lot to do about nothing. But I guess when you get the big guys commenting about it, Eddie Merckx, I mean, there's a reason why he won everything, right? And they call him the cannibal, So you've got guys like Michael Jordan, I guess, in Chicago, for us in Chicago, he's the equivalent. He just never lost. He's one of those guys, checkers, golf, basketball, like you weren't going to beat him. And so, I mean, I think that's something that you and I are probably don't have to worry about too much.
I'm not worried about it. I'm not losing sleep.
Yeah, me neither. But there's those guys, there's those guys in every sport who just,
unless we're playing pool.
Yeah. They'll just never lose. Never, it's
pool's the one thing I don't want to lose that.
Yeah. No,
nine ball.
I thought it was cool. I thought it was a nice thing. I think, the long game, right? Because you're going to need that guy come July, and he's definitely going to remember that. So,
and I don't want to sound disrespectful to the race, but I mean, it's a great race, but in the grand scheme of things, he's won so many great things already.
He's been a world champion. I mean, he's had the rainbow stripes, right? In cyclocross, right?
Cyclocross, yes. Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Multiple times. But even on the road, though, he's had the yellow jersey and the Tour. He's won big races. I forgot which monument he's won. Did he win? Oh, he won Milan-San Remo. He's already done these. I just didn't feel like he needed another win. He won this race last year. So for those reasons, but more important, I think he was like, Laporte, you've been crushing it for me.
Yeah.
And he has. You go back, just look at all the photos. You see Laporte on the front working for Van Aert. I mean, he helped Van Aert win a lot of races too. I don't know. I think it was blown out of proportion. I kept seeing people like, oh my God, everyone's making like a big mountain out of this molehill. So yeah, anyway, interesting stuff. But then Sunday is the big one, Joe, Tour of Flanders, the Super Bowl of Belgium. And I'm pretty psyched for it. And we just keep moving along with lots of good racing.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. The biggest one-day race of the year for a lot of people. That and Roubaix, maybe.
Yeah, and for a lot of people, fans alike too. Even like fans here in North America. I mean, you ask people, they always talk about Roubaix as being their favorite. The Tour, Roubaix, those are the ones most people can think of. They know the cobblestones, but Flanders for me, I like both. They're just different. One's pretty pancake flat. There is some elevation, I guess, in Roubaix, but a lot of cobbles, obviously. And Flanders just has those bergs, those super short cobbled, but really steep climbs. And yeah, it's just fun as hell. But I've always felt like Flanders is in some way, sometimes like the Super Bowl, a little disappointing because it's so hyped up. And then sometimes you just have a blowout, like 40-3 kind of thing going on. Hopefully it doesn't happen this year. I'm really excited for the race, but that's why I kind of like these other races that come in like E3 and Ghent Belgium and some of these other ones. Those can be a lot of fun. By the way, I was just looking at Wout's resume here on Pro Cycling Stats. Man, I forgot all the big races he's won. So it's correct. He did win one monument, Milan-San Remo, but he's won E3. So he won E3 twice, but he won the Amstel Gold Race, Strade Bianche. He won Ghent Belgium 2 years ago, Omloop, Nieuwsblad. I mean, he's won tons of stuff. But point is, I didn't feel like he needed that. I felt it was great. He gave that away. And we got to move on. That's the racing, man. I'm excited. And what else can you say? It's Belgian Classic season. It's awesome.
Yeah, when I was watching some of those videos, one thing that was kind of interesting is that they had about 50 VIP buses following the race. 50 VIP buses.
Where are they going?
They're just chasing the race around. You know how they go from they're strategic points to watch the race at.
Are these like these smaller ones or the huge coaches?
They're big coaches.
Okay.
They have about almost 50 of them.
Jesus.
And it's $350 a person. All the food, food and drink included. So you have a bus full of drunk Belgians just flying around Belgium all day long.
Okay, actually, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, and there's like tents. They've got these tents set up all over the place. So they come, they unload, they get
what's
there,
key
they watch.
there? What's key there is bathroom access. If there's a bathroom on that coach, that could be worth the money alone. Trying to go to the bathroom on the side of a race like that can be tricky, especially if you're a woman.
Sure.
But that's 50. That's a lot.
50 is a lot. Yeah,
cycling is not the greenest sport. That's all I'm going to say.
On those little roads, man. Yeah. And the other thing that was kind of interesting, Jumbo Visma was using quads at E3.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I must have missed that. I saw one quad, but I don't think it was a team one.
Mm-hmm. They had team quads. Now, I didn't see them in the race, but I saw them like parked on the side of the road. And there, one of the team soigneurs made a comment about, hey, we got to get on this quad thing. Look at what Jumbo's doing. They really know, like they know the roads. They know what they're doing. We got to get on the quad thing. So,
oh my God, that's so funny.
Yeah, they must be using it to like zip around in the fields and like take shortcuts and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, like you be a little more nimble and get it logistically. Like anyone who's ever worked a bike race or been around a bike race, like no matter what race you're at, like logistically, it's kind of a hellhole because they got to close down certain roads. Even the side roads, they only open those up at certain points. You can get stuck, and I've been there. I think most people have ever been around a bike race. You get stuck at some point. It's pretty tricky logistically.
Yeah, because in some of those places, I mean, if you don't know what you're doing, and you go to a bike race to watch a bike race, and you park it on a corner, really what you see is about 15 minutes, and most of that is cars. The actual bike racers zoom by in about two or 3 minutes, and then the rest of it is a caravan of cars that come before, it comes, cars that come after, and then you got about, if you're lucky, a minute or two of bike racers, bike race action.
Exactly.
And then usually what you do, like with an experience, if you're running around with an experienced team, is you jump back in the car and then you zoom to some other intersection, or, you crisscross, you're crisscrossing the region to get to some other spot where you can watch the bike race. But if you don't know that, I mean, bike race, it's actually kind of boring to watch because it all zips by in about 10 minutes and then it's over.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you have to have the mindset, and I think if you go there, you're 100% right. But you have to have the mindset like it's a big party. We're gonna have a good time. We'll see some of the bike racers go by. So that's kind of the way you have to approach it. But yeah, what's crazy, the reality is, you often see like they go by. It's kind of a blur.
It is. It is.
So the best thing is try to find where go as late as possible into the race because it'll be broken up by then, most likely, hopefully. Anywhere you can have any elevation gain, go on the steepest part of that. If you have cobbles, like try to get the cobbles. Yeah. Otherwise, if you're on the flat, fast part, like they go by so fast. I mean, I've been doing it a while, and it still always shocks me how fast they're going. Mm-hmm. Like I'm always just like, oh, well, okay, I missed that.
Yeah, you can barely make out who it is. Like the big stars will whiz by, and if you're lucky, you can make them out. But most of the time, they're in there somewhere.
Yep.
But you don't really, it's actually one of those sports that's easier to watch on TV, kind of like football.
Yeah. Oh no. Most bike races you see way more, you get a much better experience in a sense, watching the TV, and you get, the paradox is kind of like the closer you are to the race, the less you see and the less you know. And it's true, but hopefully you're going for a different point. Like if I were going to Flanders, like I've been meaning to go every year and I haven't done it yet, but I'd love to go see the Tour of Flanders, Paris-Roubaix. If you want to do it next year, Joe, we could do that. I'd love to do it, but for me, it's going to be all about the party. You're going to be at the party. If you're late on the route for Flanders or for Roubaix, you're probably in good position to see the riders come by in ones and twos and small groups and stuff. And the last half will all be like dead people on bikes, like riding by, So it'll be totally fun, but it's like soak up the whole thing, have a bunch of good food, have some drinks.
Yeah, and if you're with the locals, if you're with people that know what they are doing, it can actually it can be a lot of fun, but it's a lot of running around. You're jumping out, you're zipping to some other place, 3-4 kilometers away, waiting for them to come by. You'll get to see them come by again. Then you jump in the car again and you chase them down to some other, other, another place 3 or 4 miles away, some other intersection. But you really need someone who knows the back roads and their way around.
Yes,
you have to be with a local. I've been able to do it that way. I've also done it in a team car, which can be kind of boring unless you're, unless you're in the break, like you're with one of the big teams, and even when you're in the break. I mean, the bike racers are going fast. They're doing 25 miles an hour, which is, that's fast on a bike, especially over the course of 100K. But when you're sitting in a car at 25 miles an hour, it doesn't seem that fast.
Right. And then you realize that you're looking, oh wait, I know what it's like to ride 25 miles an hour. It's really hard.
It's really hard. They've been doing this for 3 hours, but
you're just like sitting up, putting on jackets, eating baguettes and I'm like, you're doing 23 miles an hour.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I have one quick story. So when I was very fortunate enough to be at the tour one year, I was at the quote Roubaix stage of the tour. So this was, I'd have to look it up, a few years ago, but I was there with EF and I actually was given a task. Normally I was just kind of like in my own little, like on my laptop in the back of the car or doing something like that on the bus, but they actually asked me to help out and I was more than happy to. So I had wheels. I have a photo of it. I have a set of wheels, spare wheels for riders who might need them, on the course and the race. So, I think it was like the first week, it was like stage 5 or something of the Tour de France. So they had the Roubaix stage and I was there with another guy from the team, a support person. And it was an amazing day. It was actually a Sunday. So that was really cool. Very dusty and we got to see and experience everything. But one of the coolest parts was we got there, of course, super early, like way before the race would even come by, because that's kind of how they have to drop you off and move other people around. So you're just kind of hanging out. Mm-hmm. There's the fans around. You're just kind of like kicking it, This, so it was in Belgium. So this, if I'm not mistaken, it was in Belgium. So this family, I think they were right on the border, Belgium and France. So they were there and they saw us get dropped off and they kind of saw us and they can kind of tell we were kind of working the race, whatever. And we had all our EF stuff on. And long story short, they were just like, hey, and we're like, oh, hi. We're talking to them. And I think the person I was with was like totally like fluent. So they were speaking, I guess Flemish, maybe French. I don't even remember. But sure enough, we made these amazing friends. Mm-hmm. And so the owner, that was like his house. We're like in front of his house, and it was on the route. Like it was the cobbled road right in front of his house, like literally in front of his house. Yeah. And he's like, come on in. And we're like, what? He opens his garage door. He had one of them sloping driveways, I remember. Mm-hmm. And he opened his garage door, and his garage was like not a regular garage. He used it as kind of like his man cave.
Sure.
And so he had all these posters up of like motocross riders, and he had some cyclists, but he had all these like motocross riders from back in the day. He had like a sofa, and then he had like a table. So he brings out all this food. He was like grilling sausages.
Wow.
And he poured us like Lefts, the Left beer. And we're just sitting there like, oh my God, this is so amazing. And we hung out for like a long time. Like our race wasn't coming for quite some time. So I have a couple of pictures from that. But what an amazing experience. He let us use the restroom, which I mentioned before was really key. I'll never forget that. Super hospitable.
Yeah, those are
the Belgians.
Great experiences that happen in a cycling crowd, and if you've ever been to like a world championship, people there on the side of the road are nuts. Always hauling you in to make you drink and eat. That's a real common. They've always got something going. And I'm very excited. It's kind of like tailgating here in the United States. If you're, those scenes that you see at Buffalo Stadium, the stuff you see there, like people like tossing themselves off of vans onto tables and stuff. Kind of the Belgian equivalent of that in some of these cases. It's just kind of in some cases even more intense. Because it's happening in a language you don't understand. So,
right? Yeah, you're just like, I'm going with the flow.
I don't know if they're angry at me or not, but it's I'm being hugged by a giant man right now.
Giant Stein.
Yeah, I'm going to go with it.
It is truly remarkable, though, when I really think about it. When you're in, I know other countries, have some level of this, but when you're in a country like Belgium and you're at like a big race, I don't care if it's like a big classic, small race, whatever, but even the kermesses, the little circuit races they do, the crits and stuff, like, I mean, I've had this moment a few times when I was in Belgium, where I'm just standing there. I'm like, wow, like these people love bike racing as much as me, or more,
or more.
But like, they're so into it, and they have it in their country, and it's just an ongoing part of the landscape the whole year round, basically. And it's bittersweet because I'm like, wow, I'm here, I get to experience it. It's so great, but at the same time, I know like at home, like nobody cares.
Yeah,
like they might watch 30 minutes of the tour on NBC, and they might watch Roubaix for an hour, so which is fine. But it's like I get there and I'm kind of like, wow, these are my people. Like I should be living here. And I've said that a lot. Everyone says that, but it's really something kind of special when you're there. So like my memories of seeing racing in Belgium are like super vivid because I guess I always want to remember like these moments. And it is crazy, it is crazy.
Well, for an American, it is going back to our earliest times there, like going there, like, I think it's, one of the reasons why we went there and back in the 90s was because, you didn't have the internet. You didn't have any other way to live that unless you went there and experienced it. Like the only way to really experience that was to go there, and to do it. And man, when you found yourself amongst your people that were even crazier than you, when it came to it, knew more than you, a lot more, like way more, because in a lot of cases here in the United States, you were the expert. To anybody else, you were the cycling expert, right? You're the one that knew more about bicycle racing than anybody. And when you get there, you're just like, oh my God, I'm here. I'm in the place. I am
right.
This time of the year makes you reminds you a little bit of that.
Oh yeah.
That nuttiness and just the craziness that you experience and just the awesome people that we've met over the years. Just kind of really welcoming people because they're also they're equally. I find that they're equally as excited to meet someone who is not from there, from their town or country, and who is into something from their country,
right.
that they're just kind of an American. What's an American doing here racing bicycles? It's like they're as excited to meet you as you are to meet them, and I don't know. It's just another one of those connections that you make through the bicycle,
it's really cool.
I know maybe a lot of our audience isn't necessarily, they're not race people. I don't think we treat it like, strictly racing, it's also
a little bit of everything,
but we geek out a little bit about bike racing. I think this is one of those times. Tour de France time is one of those times.
Yeah.
We've got Roubaix coming up, the spring, the classic season. It's hard not to get kind of excited, to ride your bike and watch.
I'm also excited to just be out riding too. And I've been looking at weather. I look at the weather a lot, obviously, because I ride or try to ride a lot. And it looks like we have some slowly but surely, rising temperatures coming. I've seen some 50s. Today, I think it hit 50 technically. It was pretty sunny and actually felt almost warm. So I'm pretty excited for that. But this has been fun, Joe.
Well, yeah, it has been. It's going to be a fast one, a quick one, very race oriented, but But it'll also give us some incentive to get back here a little sooner. So,
all right,
Danny, take care.
Ciao.